Have you ever looked back at a painful moment in your life and wondered, why did that happen to me? Maybe it was a loss, a sudden change, or something that just didn't make sense at the time. What if I told you nothing in your life has ever happened by chance? In Buddhist wisdom, this idea is deeply rooted. Everything happens for a reason. Every joy, every sorrow, every twist of fate, it all arises from causes and conditions. There's a hidden pattern unfolding beneath the surface, even if we can't see it yet. And this isn't about fate or superstition, it's about awareness. Learning to recognize that every experience, whether beautiful or heartbreaking, carries a lesson, a purpose. When we shift our mindset from, why is this happening to me, to, what is this trying to teach me, something changes within us. We stop fighting reality and begin to flow with it. Think about it. A seed doesn't sprout without the soil, the sun, and the rain. Just like that, every moment in your life is the result of something deeper at work. Even the difficult times are part of a greater unfolding, nudging us, guiding us, shaping us. So today, I invite you to join me on a journey, not just to make sense of the chaos, but to find peace within it. Through the lens of Buddhist wisdom, let's explore how each experience, yes, every experience, is a doorway to growth, transformation, and inner freedom. Are you ready to see your life in a new light? Let's take a quiet moment to reflect on something we all experience but often resist: change. Think about it. Your emotions, your body, your relationships, even the seasons. Nothing stays the same. And yet, we so often fight against this simple truth. We want the joyful moments to last forever. We wish the hard ones would just disappear. But life doesn't work that way. In Buddhism, this ever-shifting nature of existence is known as anicca, impermanence. It's not just a philosophical idea. It's a foundational truth of reality. Everything is in motion. Everything transforms. And when we deny this, we suffer. Let me ask you, have you ever clung to something? A relationship? A job? An old version of yourself? Long after it had already changed or slipped away? That ache we feel, that resistance, it comes not from the change itself, but from our refusal to accept it. But what if we stopped resisting? Think of a river. It never tries to hold its shape. It doesn't mourn the water that's passed or fight the flow ahead. It simply moves, gracefully, freely, fully alive in motion. Or consider a tree in autumn. It doesn't hold tightly to its leaves. It lets them go, trusting that spring will bring new growth. There's no fear, no clinging, just a quiet trust in the rhythm of life. We too can live this way. When we accept that change is natural, even necessary, we begin to find a deeper peace. We stop fearing loss and start embracing presence. We become less attached to outcomes and more in tune with what is. And this doesn't mean we become passive. It means we learn to flow with life, not fight against it. And here's where it gets even more powerful. When we embrace impermanence, we become more alive. We savor moments more deeply. We appreciate beauty because we know it's fleeting. We love more fully because we stop taking people for granted. Impermanence becomes a teacher, showing us how to be present, how to be grateful, how to live. Of course, accepting change is not always easy. When something we love is slipping away, a chapter ending, a person leaving, our youth fading, it's natural to feel sadness. Buddhism doesn't ask us to suppress those emotions. It invites us to sit with them, to honor them, and then gently release them. Pain is part of the process. But suffering? Suffering happens when we try to freeze life, to make it permanent in a world that is constantly transforming. So here's a gentle practice to try. When you notice change happening, even something small like the weather shifting or a habit breaking, pause and say to yourself, this too is part of the flow. Feel it, witness it, let it move through you. And then, let go. The more we do this, the lighter we become. The less we resist, the more peace we find. And slowly, we discover that true freedom doesn't come from holding on. It comes from learning to let go. So I invite you today, just for a moment, to stop grasping, to stop fearing, and to start flowing. What in your life is changing right now? What are you resisting that might be trying to teach you something? And what might happen if you trusted the process instead? Let impermanence be your guide, not your enemy. Let it teach you not how to control life, but how to dance with it. Because when we surrender to the truth of change, we don't lose control, we gain peace. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever done something small, a kind word, a harsh thought, a simple choice, and watched how it unexpectedly shaped the day ahead? In Buddhism, this invisible chain of events is known as karma, but not in the way most people think. Karma isn't a cosmic punishment. It's not a system of rewards for the good and penalties for the bad. It's much simpler and much deeper than that. Karma is a natural law, like gravity, like the seasons. It governs the energy we send out into the world, through our thoughts, our words, our actions, and how that energy inevitably returns to us. And imagine tossing a stone into a still lake. The ripples move outward, touching every corner of the surface. Your action may feel small, but its effects travel far, sometimes quietly, sometimes visibly, shaping not only your life but the lives around you. This is karma in motion. And here's what's even more important. Intention matters. Two people can do the same thing. Give money to someone in need, for example. But if one gives from compassion and the other from guilt or pride, the energy they create is completely different. The karma is not in the action alone, but in the motivation behind it. In our fast-paced world, we often forget that our thoughts carry as much weight as our deeds. Holding on to resentment, silently judging others, replaying anger in our minds, even when no one sees it, still shapes our inner world. That energy doesn't disappear. It settles into our being and subtly influences how we experience life. On the flip side, quietly cultivating love, forgiveness, or patience, even if only inside our own minds, radiates outward. It softens our reactions. It changes the energy of a room. It heals. But karma doesn't always show up right away. Sometimes we plant a seed, and it takes years to bloom. Other times, the result is instant. The key is not to expect a timeline, but to trust the principle. You might wonder, why do some people do harm and seem to succeed, while others do good and still struggle? It can feel unfair, but Buddhism reminds us just because a seed hasn't sprouted yet doesn't mean it won't. Some seeds take longer, but they all grow in their own time. Yeah, this is why self-awareness is so powerful. When we pause to reflect on our own patterns, how we react, what we repeatedly say or think, we start to notice the connections between our actions and the experiences that follow. Maybe we realize that our quick temper invites conflict, or that our habit of kindness creates warmth wherever we go. Every moment becomes a chance to plant better seeds. And here's the liberating truth. We are not stuck. Karma doesn't trap us. It empowers us. No matter what we've done or how many mistakes we've made, we can always start again, with a new thought, a better word, a more mindful action. There's a teaching in Buddhism. If you plant apple seeds, you will grow apples. If you plant thorns, you will grow thorns. Simple, clear, unavoidable. What we put into the world, through our being, is what we eventually receive. So today, I invite you to reflect. What kind of energy are you putting into your thoughts? Are your words planting peace or tension in others? Are your actions building harmony or chaos around you? If we want a different result, we must plant different seeds. And we can start small. Speak with a little more gentleness. Pause before reacting in anger. Choose honesty, even when it's hard. Help someone without expecting anything back. These aren't grand gestures, but just like a single pebble can ripple across a vast lake, so too can your smallest intention shift the course of your life. Karma is not meant to scare us. It's here to awaken us, to remind us that we are active participants in our own unfolding, that each day we hold the power to shape our future, moment by moment, thought by thought. So as we continue this journey of inner exploration, remember, nothing you do is ever wasted. Every choice is a seed, and with the right intention, you can grow a garden of peace. Why do we suffer? It's a question as old as humanity itself. And while there are many answers, Buddhism offers a profoundly simple one. We suffer because we cling. We cling to people, hoping they'll never change, never leave. We cling to emotions, wanting happiness to last forever and pain to vanish instantly. We cling to possessions, achievements, ideas of who we think we should be. And when life doesn't go the way we imagined, we feel broken, lost, disappointed. But what if I told you that the pain doesn't come from the change itself? It comes from our attachment to how things were, or how we wanted them to be. And this is one of Buddhism's most transformative teachings. Attachment is the root of suffering, and freedom begins when we learn to let go. Now, let's be clear. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It doesn't mean becoming cold, distant, or indifferent. It means loving without trying to possess. It means experiencing life fully, without demanding permanence in a world that's always changing. Think about love for a moment. True love, the kind that nourishes and uplifts, isn't about control. And it's not, I love you because you make me feel safe, or I need you to be mine forever. It's, I love you, and I honor who you are, even if that changes. That kind of love breathes, it grows, it sets both people free. Here's a powerful question to reflect on. Are you holding on to something so tightly that it's actually causing you pain? Maybe it's a relationship that's no longer healthy. Maybe it's a dream that no longer fits who you've become. Or maybe it's a version of yourself that you've outgrown, but can't seem to release. But letting go isn't about giving up. It's about releasing the need to control outcomes. It's about trusting that what's meant for you will stay, and what leaves was never truly yours to hold. One of the most beautiful images in Buddhism is that of a lotus flower. It grows in muddy water, yet it blooms with grace. It teaches us that beauty can emerge even from struggle, and that we don't need to cling to the mud to appreciate the bloom. When we release attachment, something shifts inside us, and we begin to breathe more easily. We stop grasping for what was or chasing what might be. We return to the now, to the present moment, where peace actually lives. Here's a little personal practice that helps. Next time you feel tightness in your chest, maybe from worry, jealousy, or fear of loss, pause and ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now? Then ask, can I loosen my grip even just a little? You don't need to let go all at once. Even a small shift in perspective can open the door to freedom. And remember, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to move forward with grace. It means carrying love without chains, memories without pain, hope without pressure. When we align with the truth of impermanence, we no longer fear change, we flow with it. We realize that trying to hold the ocean in our hands only leads to frustration. But learning to swim in its rhythm, that's where true freedom begins. So ask yourself today, what am I clinging to? And what would my life feel like if I finally let it go? Letting go isn't a loss. It's a return to your center, your peace, your natural state of being. And maybe, just maybe, that's where joy truly begins. There's a quiet strength that often goes unnoticed in our world today. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it doesn't demand attention. But when you find it, when you truly live it, it changes everything. That strength is acceptance. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Acceptance? Doesn't that mean giving up? But here's the truth. Acceptance is not surrender. It's not resignation. It's not throwing your hands in the air and saying, well, I guess this is just how it is. No. Acceptance is clarity. It's wisdom in motion. It's understanding what you can change and what you must let go. It's being fully present with reality, not how you wish things were, but how they actually are, and making peace with that. Think about how much of our suffering comes from resistance. We don't suffer simply because life is hard. We suffer because we expect life to follow our plan. We want people to act the way we think they should. We want circumstances to unfold exactly how we imagined. And when they don't, we feel pain, frustration, even despair. But what if instead of pushing against what is, we learn to flow with it? There's an old Zen parable that captures this beautifully. Maybe you've heard it before. A farmer once had a horse. One day, the horse ran away. His neighbors came to express sympathy. "What bad luck," they said. But the farmer simply replied, "Who knows what's good or bad?" A few days later, the horse returned and brought with it several wild horses. The neighbors celebrated. "What good fortune!" The farmer answered again, "Who knows what's good or bad?" Soon after, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses, but fell and broke his leg. The neighbors lamented again, "How unfortunate." Still, the farmer responded, "Who knows what's good or bad?" Weeks later, soldiers came to the village to draft young men for war. Because of his injury, the farmer's son was spared. Life unfolds in ways we don't always understand. What seems bad today may protect us tomorrow. What seems good now may carry unseen challenges. Our acceptance allows us to stop labeling every event as right or wrong. It invites us to stay open, curious, and present, even when life surprises us. And it doesn't stop there. Acceptance is also about people. Think about how often we try to change those around us. We want our partners to love us a certain way. We want our friends to understand us better. We want our coworkers to behave more like us. But each person is on their own journey. They carry their own wounds, stories, and pace of growth. Trying to force them into our mold only creates frustration, for us and for them. Now, this doesn't mean we let people harm us or tolerate abuse. Boundaries are sacred. But what it does mean is, we stop expecting others to change in order for us to be at peace. We stop fighting reality and start asking, how do I want to respond to this? Acceptance is also inward. How often are we our own harshest critics? We punish ourselves for past mistakes. We wish we were further along, more confident, more put together. But true healing begins when we accept ourselves as we are. Flaws, fears, growth edges, and all. This doesn't mean we stop evolving. It means we evolve from a place of compassion, not self-rejection. When we accept who we are in this moment, we create the space to become more, with love, not pressure. Meditation and mindfulness are powerful allies in this process. When we sit in silence and observe our thoughts, we start to see how much of our inner struggle comes from wanting things to be different. Yes, and slowly, with practice, we begin to soften. We begin to accept. We begin to trust the flow. So how do we live this wisdom in everyday life? Start small. Accept that it's raining when you had plans for sunshine. Accept that traffic is part of the drive. Accept that the person in front of you is moving slower than you'd like. Each moment is a chance to practice. Each breath is a doorway into presence. And over time, this practice grows stronger. You begin to accept bigger things, a job that didn't work out, a relationship that ended, a path that changed unexpectedly. And with that acceptance comes freedom, the kind that doesn't depend on everything going your way. Because life won't always go your way, but it will go. And it can carry you to places of beauty, growth, and peace you never imagined, if you're willing to let it. So today, ask yourself, what am I resisting that might be asking to be accepted? What part of me needs gentleness instead of judgment? And what would life feel like if I stopped fighting and started flowing? Acceptance is not the end of effort. It's the beginning of wisdom. Let it guide you, one breath, one choice, one moment at a time. We all go through moments that shake us. The kind of moments we never asked for. Loss, illness, failure, disappointment. Sometimes life knocks the wind out of us, and we're left wondering, why me? Why now? But what if instead of asking, why is this happening to me, we asked, what is this trying to teach me? Because in Buddhist wisdom, nothing happens without cause, and nothing is meaningless, not even the most painful moments of our lives. Pain, as hard as it is, can be one of our greatest teachers, if we're willing to listen. And you see, adversity doesn't come to destroy us. It comes to awaken something deeper within us. It pushes us to grow in ways we never would if everything always went according to plan. In fact, some of the most profound transformations happen in the dark. Think of a seed. Before it becomes a tree, it must first break open, in the soil, in the darkness, unseen. It must face resistance. It must push upward, against gravity, against the unknown. We are not so different. Some of the most challenging seasons in your life may, in time, become the foundation of your strength, your compassion, your clarity. Now, there's a beautiful Buddhist story about a young disciple who found a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. Moved by the creature's effort, the disciple gently helped peel the cocoon away. But the butterfly, without the struggle, never developed the strength in its wings and couldn't fly. The very struggle the disciple tried to remove was the thing that would have made the butterfly strong. In our own lives, we often want to eliminate pain as quickly as possible. We want to skip the hard parts, and we want clarity now, resolution now, healing now. But spiritual growth doesn't work on our timeline. It works on nature's timeline, slow, steady, often hidden at first. And sometimes, it's only looking back that we see the purpose behind what we went through. Maybe the heartbreak taught you self-worth. Maybe the job loss redirected you to a path you now love. Maybe the illness brought you closer to presence, to gratitude, to what really matters. Even the most painful experiences can carry profound wisdom, if we're open to seeing them through a new lens. Here's a practice that can change everything. Instead of labeling your difficult moments as bad or wrong, start asking, what is life trying to teach me here? What strength is being developed in me right now? What part of myself is being invited to grow? When you shift the question, you shift your power. You move from being a victim of life to being an active participant in your evolution. This isn't just philosophy. It's deeply practical, because adversity will come. We can't control that. But how we respond to adversity is everything. When something hurts us, it often points to a deeper wound within us that's asking for attention. If criticism shakes you deeply, maybe there's a part of you still craving approval. If rejection devastates you, perhaps it's time to anchor your worth in something more lasting. These moments, as painful as they are, hold mirrors to the parts of ourselves that are still healing. And this is where adversity becomes a gift. It reveals what still needs compassion. It reveals what we've outgrown. It reveals what we're being called to become. Of course, this doesn't mean we should spiritualize or minimize pain. Grief is real. Trauma is real. We must honor what we feel, cry when we need to cry, rest when we need to rest. But even while we feel the weight of pain, we can also hold the possibility that this is shaping us, that this might be the breaking open before the bloom. One of the most powerful things you can do is look back at your hardest moments and ask, what did I learn from that? You might be surprised at what you find. Maybe resilience, maybe patience, maybe humility, maybe an entirely new way of loving yourself and others. These hidden lessons often become the very tools we need for our future. And here's something else to remember. What you've gone through can become medicine for others. Your story, your growth, your scars, your survival may be the exact wisdom someone else needs to hear. In Buddhism, this is part of the Bodhisattva path, to transform your own suffering and then help ease the suffering of others. So don't be afraid of your wounds. Don't hide your pain. Let it refine you. Let it expand your empathy. Let it guide you to deeper truth. Even the storm has purpose. Even the broken places can let light through. So I invite you, gently, with compassion, to reflect. What adversity has shaped who you are today? What strengths were born from your struggle? And how might those strengths serve not just you, but the world around you? You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to feel healed yet. You just have to be open to the idea that maybe, just maybe, everything you've faced wasn't meaningless. Maybe it was the path all along. Adversity can either close us off or crack us open. The choice is always ours. Let life shape you. Let it teach you. Let it turn your pain into purpose. Because sometimes the most beautiful chapters of our story begin right in the middle of the storm. Have you ever caught yourself physically in one place, but mentally somewhere else entirely? Maybe your body is at dinner with someone you love, but your mind is replaying a stressful conversation from earlier. Or maybe you're walking outside on a beautiful day, but your thoughts are already racing ahead to tomorrow's to-do list. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Most of us live this way, constantly swinging between the past and the future, reliving what was, worrying about what might be, rarely fully arriving in the only place that actually exists, right now. In Buddhism, there's a practice that gently invites us back to the present. It's called mindfulness. Mindfulness isn't just a meditation technique. It's a way of living. It means being aware of what you're doing while you're doing it. It means noticing your thoughts, your emotions, your breath, without judgment, without rushing to fix or control them. The beauty of mindfulness is in its simplicity. You don't need to change your surroundings. You don't need special equipment or a quiet retreat. And you only need to pause and come back to this moment. Take a breath, feel it enter your body, notice how it leaves. That's mindfulness. And yet, something so simple is also one of the most transformative practices you can bring into your life. Because when you're mindful, you begin to see just how much life you've been missing. The taste of your morning coffee, the way the sunlight hits the trees, the softness in someone's voice. These aren't little things. They are life. Without mindfulness, we rush. We consume. We react. We move from one moment to the next without ever fully being in any of them. And what's the cost? Stress, disconnection, a feeling that life is slipping through our fingers no matter how hard we try to hold on. Mindfulness invites us to slow down, not because life isn't moving, but because we've stopped feeling it. There's a famous Buddhist saying, "When walking, just walk. When eating, just eat." It sounds almost too simple, but think about it. And how often do we eat while scrolling our phones? Walk while lost in thought? Listen to someone while planning what we're going to say next? We're there, but not really there. The practice of mindfulness teaches us to be fully present, not just in meditation, but in everything. Washing your hands, drinking a glass of water, looking someone in the eyes, even experiencing sadness or anger. These are all opportunities to practice being here, now. And when we're present, something shifts. We become less reactive. Instead of lashing out in anger, we pause. We breathe. We choose a response. We gain clarity, emotional balance, and, most importantly, inner peace. But mindfulness isn't about being perfect. Your mind will wander. That's what minds do. The practice is simply noticing when it happens and gently bringing yourself back to your breath, back to your body, back to the moment in front of you. Over time, this practice becomes a refuge. No matter how chaotic the world is, you know how to return to yourself. And it's not that mindfulness removes all of life's problems, but it gives you the presence, the stability, and the spaciousness to meet them with grace. Here's something you can try today. Next time you do something ordinary, like making tea or walking to your car, do it mindfully. Feel each movement. Notice the textures, the sounds, the smells. If thoughts arise, notice them without judgment and return to the experience. This simple act can reconnect you to life in a way that's deeply nourishing. And then slowly you'll begin to realize you don't need to chase happiness. It's not hidden in the future. It's already here, in this breath, in this moment, waiting to be noticed. So I invite you to ask yourself, where is my mind right now? What would it feel like to be fully here? What parts of life have I been missing, simply because I wasn't paying attention? Mindfulness doesn't require you to change who you are. It simply asks you to come home, to your breath, your body, your life, right here, right now, exactly as it is. And in that return, we find a quiet kind of joy, not because everything is perfect, but because we're finally present for the life we already have. Our mind can be our greatest ally, or our deepest source of suffering. We often think it's the world around us, the events, the people, the circumstances that cause our pain. But Buddhism teaches something radically different. It's not what happens to us that causes suffering. It's how we interpret it. It's the stories we attach to it. Pain is part of life. That's unavoidable. But suffering? Suffering comes when we resist, react, or identify with our pain. The mind loves to cling to the past or worry about the future. Yes, it replays old wounds, imagines worst-case scenarios, and attaches tightly to fear, shame, and doubt. But here's the liberating truth. We don't have to believe every thought we think. Through mindfulness and meditation, we can begin to observe the mind, not from within it, but from awareness. We learn to pause before reacting, to breathe through emotion, to respond with wisdom instead of impulse. This is the beginning of inner freedom. We're not trying to eliminate difficult thoughts, and we're learning not to let them control us. And in this process, we begin to transform from judgment to compassion, from fear to presence, from reactivity to stillness. The path to enlightenment isn't some distant mountaintop. It's a shift in how we relate to the world and to ourselves. So ask yourself, what thoughts have I been believing without question? How might my life change if I met those thoughts with curiosity, not fear? True transformation doesn't mean escaping pain. It means using pain as a doorway, a passage into clarity, into kindness, into awakening. When we free the mind, we free our lives. As we reach the end of this journey together, I invite you to pause and reflect. What if every experience in your life, the joy, the pain, the uncertainty, was not random, but meaningful? What if each moment, even the difficult ones, carried within it a hidden opportunity to learn, grow, and awaken? Buddhist wisdom reminds us that nothing stands alone. We live in a world shaped by karma, where every action creates ripples. We live in the flow of impermanence, where everything is constantly changing. And through mindfulness, we begin to see clearly and live more fully in the only moment we ever truly have, now. When we understand these truths, something softens within us. We stop fighting life and instead begin to walk with it. We respond with clarity. We meet others with compassion, and we meet ourselves with acceptance. So if you take one thing with you from this journey, let it be this: everything happens for a reason. Live with awareness. Live with wisdom. And above all, live with love. If these reflections touched your heart, don't let them fade. Carry them with you, into your breath, your thoughts, your choices. And if this journey brought you peace, insight, or simply a moment of stillness, I invite you to share it. Subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment with your thoughts. And send this to someone who might need a little light today. Together, let's keep walking the path, with presence, with courage, and with compassion. This is Buddha's quiet path, and we're honored to walk it with you.